Hi, I'm Maggie.
I'm Nicole.
And I'm Annalisa. We're a team of mental health professionals from Unleashed Counseling, and this is Bibliotherapy, your self-help book club podcast.
Hey guys.
Good morning.
Hello, everyone.
We're coming back to You Are Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life, Jen Sincero's book.
And we're on part 3, how to tap into the mother load.
Yeah, which is Jen's word for God, right?
Yes.
So she starts it off with right into chapter 10 is meditation 101.
So I meditate every day, sometimes only like a 3 or 5 minute meditation, because that's just all I can commit to that particular day. And sometimes I go for longer. And I've noticed that if I start skipping meditations or I go for, a week or two without it, I'm cranky. I'm just like, I'm not as fun as a mom or a partner. I'm like, I don't play as much. I don't laugh as much. So I have definitely noticed that meditation is an important part of my self-care.
So I guess once you fall into that habit and you do it more often, it becomes easier and you start to tell yourself, hey, are you forgetting to meditate today?
Yeah, it becomes easier, but also, like she says, it's called a meditation practice, right? You never like get it or get there or whatever.
Right.
Or maybe you do, but I haven't. And that's okay. So sometimes I'm still thinking about lunch or like,
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people that thought that meditation was BS when I was like younger. I remember going to a counselor who was like, your anxiety will decrease if you meditate every day. And I'm like, well, okay. But one of the problems I have is like racing thoughts. So how am I supposed to sit and meditate? It felt like so contradicting of like what was going on for me. But I definitely agree with her that she gives like other options and suggestions for like meditation, and one of them being a mantra. So I've definitely been able to utilize that, because sitting still and like we'll touch back on this part, but the perfectionist in me has a really hard time sitting and trying to meditate and then like judging myself for not being able to think about other than like everything else going on. So a mantra has been helpful for me of like, even if it's like everything is okay, or I am grounded, like, like those kinds of things, like just to remind myself of where I'm at. And it's quick and I can't judge myself for like where I'm at with that, with the meditation.
That's a good point to make, that again, it's like case by case. It would be a different experience for everybody. So it can be a mantra for Nicole. It can be a positive affirmation for somebody else. It can be actually sitting down and sitting in silence and getting the candle out and just, taking in that positive aura. It's a good point to make, that there's no set pattern for meditating.
So let's jump to chapter 12. She is really good at coming up with startling titles.
And what would this title be?
Chapter 12, lead with your crotch.
It's not what you think, audience. So in this chapter, this crotch chapter, you're automatically unsettled by this chapter title, but she goes into talking about essentially crotch is a band that her and her friends started when they were younger and full of hope and dreams, and they were bored, so they wanted to do something, and they all enjoyed that so much. So Nicole was talking a little bit before we started the podcast about this chapter, and how there was, what did you say, Nicole? There wasn't really any point to it or incentive to it, but they just did it because they enjoyed themselves and they enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah, while you were just talking, I was perusing this one spot that I was thinking of when I was talking about that. And basically, they all had corporate jobs, but decided to make this EP and record all of these songs, even though none of them had extensive musical background. Like they really they embraced the fact that they weren't good, right? Like, and they did it because it was fun. It's something to do. And like in the back where she has a lot of like the numbered suggestions for what comes from the chapter, the one part says about keep being the beginner, right? So the beginner may be like an idiot, right? But she knows how to party, right? So you know how to have fun. You're able to take in everything as it comes, and you see it with new eyes every time you do it, right? So being in, Crotch, the band, it wasn't because of, being like, the hit single or anything like that. It was something that was fun with a capital F.
I'm going to jump ahead to chapter 13 and chapter 15. They kind of align with each other. So chapter 13 is give and let give, and chapter 15 is forgive or fester. And I wanted to bring these up because this is these are two really relevant things in my life right now, especially because my sister reminded me of something the other day, and I have to share it. So in previous podcast episodes, I know I've talked about a past friend of mine that was not so nice and supportive when my dad passed away. That friend just got engaged. Her boyfriend proposed to her, and I'm not friends with her on any social media or anything like that. So I find out through, my other friends that send screenshots. Eye roll. Drama that I don't want. But anyway, they got engaged, and immediately when I saw the picture of her ring in her hand, I felt such like, I don't know what it was. And I know it wasn't jealousy, but it was just this feeling of, I'm going to miss out on such an important part of her life because of this. And I was talking to my sister about it, and my sister was like, you have to just take that in and put positive vibes out into the universe and into the world, because if you don't, if you don't think positive for people and be happy for people, you're not gonna be able to take in any positivity or any happy things. It's like when you put good vibes out into the universe, they come back to you and they're reciprocated to you. So those are two really important things. One, when you give, you can take, right? It's a balance. And she talks about, paying $1 extra when you tip someone, or, it's just those little things that make someone's day a little bit better. And then in terms of forgiving, I'm sure we all have at least one little tiny grudge that we're holding, or, one little tiny bridge that we've burned that maybe we regret that we've done so. But like how important it is to forgive, so you can just move forward. The first quote of the chapter is, forgiveness means giving up all hope for a better past. So, it's kind of about putting everything behind you in those terms and moving forward for yourself. Like it's self-care for you when you're, forgiving, because I don't know, like she says, the universe has a way of working. And it was just such a highlight in my mind when my sister was like, you have to be happy for people, even if you feel like you shouldn't be, or even if you feel like you're holding these like grudgy feelings. you have to be happy for people if you want to be happy. And I was like, whoa, mind blown.
Something about the way that she worded it reminded me of a favorite meditation that I used to do a lot, but I haven't done in a long time, but you just brought this memory back. It's sort of a visualization. So you imagine this like warm, bright, like sunshine, fiery, ball of energy inside of you. And when you breathe in all the negativity that's around you, maybe that you've spoken out into the universe or that's just happening near you. So you breathe the negativity in and you let it burn up inside, in that like furnace, and turn it all into something like healthy and beautiful and good. And when you breathe it back out, it's like fresh, clean energy to share into the world. Right. So you're letting that energy inside of you just like transform the negativity into something positive for you and the people around you.
I love that. And like it also reminds me of a little bit later in that chapter, it says forgiving isn't being nice to them, it's about being nice to yourself, right? And taking it, just because something like this is happening or it has happened in the past doesn't mean it has to take like a, stock in your life, right? So I, like Maggie was saying, I absolutely am currently experiencing, a situation where I could very easily sit with some of the hurt and pain that has come from a particular situation. And it's hard to find that forgiveness. But remembering it's not when you forgive to just totally erase what has happened and that you are saying, yes, what you did is okay. It's more the fact of, I need peace for myself so I can move forward. And this isn't going to be a rain cloud over my life, and make me feel resentful or just angry about the situation and other things that are happening.
Yep. As the very wise Lauren Conrad from The Hills said, I want to forgive you and I want to forget you. Iconic.
Hey there, Bibliotherapy listeners. When you're finished listening, head on over to selfcaretips.org/free guide to check out our awesome guide that is full of ideas to practice self-care. Here's why you should grab up this free guide now. Because we love you, because you deserve a break, because if you continue to go at the pace you're going, you'll burn out, and because you may actually have forgotten how to even do self-care. What are you waiting for? Head over to selfcaretips.org/free guide and give yourself permission to do that thing that makes you happy.
So, Nicole, I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about perfection.
Oh dear. Yeah. So the team knows, everyone who really knows me very well knows that I struggle with perfection. I always have. And I know it's something that is not unique to me. A lot of people have, a thing with perfection. Maggie is raising her hand. I know, like, it's something that a lot of people deal with. And there is in chapter 18, Procrastination, Perfection, and a Polish Beer Garden. Again, with these titles, I love them. She talks about how she literally got a job with a folk festival, and had kind of fibbed on her resume. I think of it as using transferable skills from other things that were going on in her life. But she wanted to get this job for whatever reason. She really had no tie to a Polish beer garden or this folk festival, but she really had like this drive to do so. But it goes into, not to say that I have lied on my resume or anything like that, but what I do really resonate with is the good news that she gives about putting energy into coming up with excuses and holding ourselves back when it comes to going for something that we feel we're not ready for, or that we're not, equipped to deal with. Right. So I equate this to my life as a counselor, right? I am, for those of you who don't know how long I've been in the field, not very long. I graduated pretty recently. I mean, oh my God, it's been a while, actually. Now that I think about it, it's almost a year. But anyway, we're going to go past that. I still feel like it was yesterday. And I deal with imposter syndrome so often because I feel like I'm not 100% equipped, right? I want to do everything perfect for my clients. But the deal is that I have a huge passion for what I do. And using that passion and also the idea of wanting to be better for my clients as motivation to do the best that I can, and not taking it as, I feel like an imposter, so I'm not going to do this. Right. So spending so much time to do something that you love and then to be stopped by this fear of not being perfect can really cut you off from doing things that you love or that you would actually be good at. And it feels weird to say this because I feel like I'm boasting, but like I can be a good counselor, right? Like that's not something that's mutually exclusive from feeling like an imposter. But reading this chapter, I mean, not that I've ever tried to come up with a Polish beer garden or work for any kind of folk arts festival. That is not in my wheelhouse, but what is in my wheelhouse is working with people. And for a very long time, I've felt like I can't because I'm not perfect, but who is, right? So really just using that passion and that want to do something, and turning it into what you love and what you want to do.
So there's a couple of sections from this chapter that I want to share, that I just want to read. So she has a quote at the beginning of every chapter, and I really love her titles for each person that she quotes. She like says who they really are, but then she always has something kind of cheeky at the end. So this one, it's, in order to kick ass, you must first lift up your foot. Jen Sincero, author, coach, self-quoter. She quotes herself. She's adorable. But anyway, so then she goes on to give some recommendations for people who struggle with perfectionism. And first, she says, remember that done is better than perfect, which of course we've heard a million times, but do we actually live it? Then she goes on to say, notice where you stop. And that one really started to drive the point home for me, because I will often stop right before I'm starting to truly kick ass. And it's because, like she says, so often when we would say we're unqualified for something, what we're really saying is that we're too scared to try it, not that we can't do it. So damn it, Jen, looking right into my soul. Number 3, make a bet with someone mean. So accountability works, but it doesn't work if you choose someone who's going to let you off the hook. So find someone that you can partner with that will push you, be a little bit mean. Number 4, own it and work with it. So in other words, just recognize that you're better than you think you are. And then finally, love yourself right now, wherever you're at. Okay, so chapter 24, money, your new best friend. I really appreciated this chapter, and I really appreciate in general when self-help books address finances, because, okay, it can be a drag, right? It can be a snore, whatever. Like, who wants to talk about our finances, especially if we're broke? But our financial health is really important, right? And the healthier we are financially, the easier it's going to be to pursue the things that make us happy and to pursue the self-care that we need. So yeah, So I dove into this chapter, and then I also got her book, How to Be a Badass at Making Money, and I read it a couple of times. Because for one, she's just a really funny writer, and I just love her approach. And then two, it kind of struck me, like envisioning her living in this garage and just like making this mental shift, right? It's just her mindset. She just decided, you know what, I'm done being broke. It's time for me to get rich. And she did. This woman can do anything. And her point is, so can we. Um, so she makes the mindset shift, and then she takes a couple of really scary leaps and becomes a coach, a life coach, which is pretty funny. She's like, I'm living in a garage and struggling to get my own life together in my 40s, and all of a sudden I'm coaching other people. But then she acknowledges that in fact she's a really good coach, and even though she wasn't practicing what she preached at first, um, she got there eventually, and it was all about just changing the way that she thinks about money.
I like how she says money is currency and currency is energy, because too often, people get to the end of the week and they're physically exhausted, to the point where like even payday is like not satisfying enough. You feel like you worked so hard, or worked so many hours, and your paycheck was only so many dollars. And at that point, it kind of turns into discouragement, when it shouldn't, because like she says, money is currency and currency is energy. It proves that you were working hard. Like you got up every day and went to work and worked as hard as you possibly could. You took the first step every single day in getting up. That expends energy, right? And a lot of times people can't do it because they don't have any energy left. And that's why, people spend days in bed and are, physically exhausted. But when you look at money in a positive light and think, oh, this is a reflection of how hard I've worked, of the goals that I set to accomplish last week, and I actually accomplished them, and this is my reward for it.
One of the things she suggests is not only change your attitude about money itself, like having a more positive approach to making money, but also she says lose the attitude about rich people, um, which I definitely had to like pause and do a little bit of introspection. Like, yeah, I think maybe I did have kind of an attitude. She's like, rich people are just people, right? And you don't have to assume that they're power hungry, or assume that they're going to take advantage, or that they're negative in some kind of way. They're just people. And if you want to be rich, you definitely need to stop having an attitude about both the people who have money and the money itself. So I don't know. I took that one to heart and was like, okay, it would be really lame if some rich person were to walk in here and start talking smack on people who are, living in poverty, right? Like I would be really angry. Like I would tell them about themselves.
Yeah, she says like ridding yourself of your fear and loathing of money, be it consciously or subconsciously, is essential if you want to make any. Right. And it reminds me of the last book that we read. There was also a piece about if you are used to having a like negative look on money, right, then it's going to subconsciously make it very hard for you to make any money or to change your perspective or place with money. It would be very difficult to do that if you're in your own way about having money.
So I will definitely be recommending this book to my clients. I think it's not your average self-help book, but I do think that a lot of people I know, a lot of people I work with could benefit from her message. All right, so our next book is I'm Judging You, The Do Better Manual by Lovey Ajayi. She's a social commentator. She's also a comedian. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be both fun and insightful.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.